Hello, friends, and welcome back to Let's Combinate Drugs and Devices. I'm your host, Subhi Saadeh, and in this episode, I wanted to cover continuous manufacturing. We're going to go over ICH Q13, what continuous manufacturing means, the differences between continuous and batch manufacturing, and important quality items to consider with a continuous manufacturing process. How do you define a batch? How do you release it? How do you do process validation? How do you develop a control strategy? So if you're interested in that, I will see you in the episode. If it's your first time tuning into Let's Combinate Drugs and Devices, I am Subhi Saadeh, and I'm the founder of Let's Combinate BioWorks. I've been working in drug delivery systems and combination products for my whole career. When I saw the guideline come through a couple of years ago, I was really excited about it because continuous processes were always available, but the fact that there is now a guideline that supports how to think about it from a regulatory, CMC, and quality oversight point of view means that this is something that you're going to see more and more in industry. So why would you consider going with a continuous manufacturing process? The first reason is because it reduces your production time because you don't have all of the intermediate start, stop. You need to make all of the different intermediaries before you get to the finished product. It gives you the opportunity to design equipment that is start to finish, where you're not having to wait at the in-between steps and release material in between steps. It also really focuses on process analytical technology, or PAT, such that you are monitoring every little step of the way as the manufacturing is happening. It's more sustainable, and it usually has lower operating costs because you're reducing waste, warehousing, and hold times. The trade-offs, though, are that there's usually a high upfront investment. It requires some technical complexity when you are putting this kind of process together. And if a line is down, then your whole process is down. Whereas if you're doing batch manufacturing, then if you have a choke point within one piece of your process, the rest of your process can continue moving on. Let's get into the standard. I want to talk about continuous manufacturing, how it differs from batch manufacturing, and some of the important considerations to think about when it comes to quality. So you need to think of batch production versus continuous production. And batch production is really your normal production process where you have step A that feeds into step B that feeds into step C that feeds into step D. And you're doing intermediate checks in between in the form of IPC tests or finished release testing. Your batch is defined by a recipe, a lot, or by your equipment capacity. Continuous flow-based production, on the other hand, is sort of different philosophically because you have continuous material flowing through end to end. Here, your material is flowing through a continuous process. If you look at pictures of continuous manufacturing process, sometimes they're vertically integrated where you have material flowing in from the top and moving into the bottom process and you get finished product at the end. Quality is built through real-time monitoring and control, and the batch is defined via time or campaign window. And even in continuous manufacturing, you do need to define a batch size because you have to have a slice in time where you're defining the traceability of what material is, but it's done by time, mass, or campaign. In other words, you're defining the batch before you even start production. And so you may say from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Tuesday is batch 1, from 4 p.m. to midnight is batch 2, and so on. You may decide based on quantity that a batch is 500 kilograms of API, or that it's 100,000 units of whatever the product is, but you're still continuing to manufacture. It's not like we're producing a lot and stopping. Or you can do it by campaign where you may be running for a month, but you say, we're going to just count each day as a batch or each week as a batch. Now, moving into the types of manufacturing, there's integrated, where you have drug substance and drug product all on one line end to end. This is a fully connected process where all the units are running continuously and there's no intermediate holding steps. The next one is segmented, where certain elements of the process may be continuous, but others may have a holding step. And then the last one is a hybrid approach, where you may have two independent continuous manufacturing processes that are not integrated, where you have drug substance running continuously by itself and drug product running continuously by itself. So RTD is one of the most important concepts when it comes to continuous manufacturing, because it clarifies how you're supposed to manage traceability if you have a process that's running constantly. So how do you make sure that you have some level of resolution on the material that's flowing through your process? That's what residence time distribution does. And it really defines how long a material spends in a process unit and how it mixes while it's moving through. It's important for defining how your material flows through your process. Moving into control strategies for continuous manufacturing need to take into account, the fact that this process is running continuously. And so how is the material going to be collected if you don't have any stoppage in the process? So you need to be able to define what you do at startup, what you do during your normal production, and what you do to shut down. And process monitoring and process analytical technology are really tied at the hip when it comes to continuous manufacturing, because essentially you're not running a conventional process where you're doing step A to B to C. And so you're really relying a lot on your in-process controls and your real-time data versus let me build a batch and then hold it until I get the finished release testing, and then I can authorize it for shipment and disposition. It's not like that when it comes to continuous manufacturing. And in an ideal world, you're relying on your process analytical technology. And so, we have control strategies for every kind of product. It's something that's table stakes for working in pharma. But when it comes to continuous manufacturing, your control is demonstrated in real time and it's not confirmed at batch end. Think philosophically, it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of like parametric release, where you're looking for more leading indicators that your batch is passing and not waiting until the end and getting the release data. Disturbances is a key word to think about when you're thinking about continuous manufacturing, because it's what can disturb the process really. So it's a deviation from the normal process conditions for a continuous manufacturing process that may impact product quality. And ICH Q13 describes how disturbances are characterized, where you look at the magnitude, duration, and frequency of the disturbance. How far did you move from your target? For how long? And how often is it occurring? Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is validation, release, and lifecycle management. And what stays the same is you still need validation, and you essentially follow the core principles of some of the ICH guidelines. So ICH Q8 is QBD for drug product, Q9 is QRM or risk management, Q10 is your pharma quality system, Q11 is QBD for drug substance, and Q12 is established conditions, which I did an episode on Q8, Q9, Q10, and Q12. So check them out if you'd like. But your product still needs to meet specs and be released per whatever your batch criteria are. And you still need to follow a risk-based approach when it comes to changes. Now, what's different? So validation can be based on real-time process data, which is collected over time, rather than a fixed number of batches. And the Q13 guideline talks about how you can validate via normal validation practices or through continuous process verification. Release, your product may be released based on in-process monitoring instead of finished product released if it's justified in the control strategy. And changes may involve not only equipment or processes, but you have to establish certain models and process analytical technology tools if you're running consistently. So your changes need to assess impact to the additional considerations that are important for a continuous manufacturing. So that is it as a high level overview. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and let me know if you have any feedback or if you'd like me to cover any topics. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.